Clements Homebrew, coming at you with Brews and Views. It's a new little format we're going to do. I'm going to share a beer with you, and then we're going to talk about a topic. Promise not to get political on you. Here's the beer. This one's from Fremont Brewing out of Seattle, Washington. This is their 12th anniversary ale. It's a stout made with cherries, bourbon barrel aged. It's their 2021 edition. Wow, this is got a blend of 3 different beers. They've got one of the stouts was made with 8 to 10-year-old Heaven Hill bourbon barrel aged beer. Then another stout again with 8 to 10-year-old Heaven Hill bourbon barrels, but also with tart Montmorcery cherries and dark tart cherries out of Royal Ridge Fruits in Royal, Washington. And finally, a stout aged in ex-bourbon vanilla extract barrels. That should be interesting, so we should get a lot of vanilla out of this too, but this should be fun. I'm going to go ahead and get this cracked open. While I'm working on the wax here, tell you a few more things. The malts in this are Maris Otter, Leon Munich Cafe One Special, roasted barley, dark crystal, rolled oats, and flaked barley. So that should give it some nice body. 2-row pale, crystal 60, chocolate malt, and Carafa 2 malts. And the hops in it include, let me remember here, U.S. Magnum, U.S. Goldings, Willamette, Columbus, and Cascade. Had to work my way through the wax. Got my German bottle opener here, and let's go ahead and get the pour on this bad boy. Let's see here. I can smell it from here. Boy, it feels like it's just pouring in thick. I love that. Wow, look at that head build. Look how dark that head is. That is just gorgeous, a chocolate malt right there. Let's go for the nose. This was released in August of 2021. It's now the end of September of 2022. I'm getting those tart cherries. I'm getting a dark chocolate quality. I get the bourbon, it's there, but I also get a nice oak quality. Earthy. I almost feel like you get a hint of like a tobacco on there too. Let's go ahead and dive in for the taste. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. This is a full body. This has got a nice, almost a chew, I'd say. It's a nice quality on there. Very coating of the whole mouth. You definitely get the dark chocolate. It's absolutely a dark chocolate. And you get the tart cherries, but there's a lot of sweetness on it as well. So nothing's taken away. But I feel like I get sweet cherry and dark cherry. So it's not all tart. Because of the nice sweetness, it really comes through really beautifully. There's a nice earthiness to it. I get hints of that tobacco again. And you definitely get some vanilla on it. Wow. This is one beautiful beer. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, my wife, Kalua Barb, and I, we do some reading together and study some topics together. And I recently saw a video entitled Unoffendable, and we're currently reading a book called Unoffendable. The author of the book, Brant Hansen, states, "You can choose to be unoffendable." And I'm thinking, what? I'm offended by that. I mean, clearly we live in a society of people who are constantly offended by something. Constantly. In fact, we're encouraged to be offended. It's like a national pastime. Take cancel culture, for example. It finds words, objects, people, history, etc. Offensive. Things that probably shouldn't offend any of us, and they twist them in order to make them offensive. I find your red shoes offensive. You know, Dorothy called a woman a witch, and then she killed her for a pair of red shoes like those. They bring out the worst in people. But seriously? Unoffendable? I mean, being offended while driving on the road is how I keep my sanity, speaking of favorite pastimes. But the problem is I now think that the author and the guy in the video are right. Not only can we choose to be unoffendable, we should choose to be unoffendable. Why is it that we feel we're entitled to be offended? That we have the right to be offended? That we're justified in our anger? When we forfeit our right to be offended, we forfeit our right to hold on to anger. We're choosing to be humble. And shouldn't we want to be humble? And after all, how many times have I cut someone off on the road because I was not paying attention and almost missed my exit? More times than I want to count. And why is it that we feel we're justified in our actions? We're the exception when we act poorly. Now, some of you may think that I'm crazy to think that we should be unoffendable. And honestly, it tripped me up at first too. I was having a difficulty with this concept of being unoffendable. But the more I've looked into it and the more I think about it, again, I think the author's right. The guy in the video is right. And there are a lot of reasons for it. We're not going to go through all those today. So for now, just think about it. Hopefully I'll come back to this in another video in the future. But for now, let's go ahead and finish up with this beer because this is an amazing beer. I mean, here's it again. It's it's the 12th anniversary ale from Fremont Brewing, the 2021. Made with tart cherries, barrel aged, blended, 3 different beers. This is a wonderful beer. How would I rate this? Let me think about that. Well, first, style. This beer is it's got just such a good mouthfeel. You know, that flaked barley, and etc., the rolled oats, that really helped a lot. So it's got a super, super full mouthfeel, which is wonderful. I love that. And it's a big beer. It's 11% ABV, 20 IBUs. So it's got a mild bitterness, but it balances out just wonderfully. Loads and loads of chocolate. Wonderful cherry quality under it. Lightly tart, but still a nice sweetness to it as well. It's a winner. Good roasty qualities, a bit boozy, nice and oaky. Hints of tobacco. Maybe almost like an amaretto when you think of it, you know, that cherry almond quality. This is a wonderful beer. I've got to rate it really high for me. In terms of style, I'm giving this a 96. Overall, I'm not changing a whole lot. I'm going 95. They just did a fantastic job with this. I'm not offended by this at all. Here it is again. Fremont 12th Anniversary Ale. This is what you want to find. It's been out for a year. I bet you could still find it. I'm sure I could. I'd say go out and get one. And then think about being offended less often. Really, are that many things all that surprising in the world? Do we just like being offended? Are you really shocked when someone cuts you off on the road? I'm not anymore. This is Kevin at Clemens Homebrew saying life's too short to drink cheap beer, and I'll see you in another beer review and some views. Cheers.